Which of the following polyatomic ions is not paired with its correct formula? A. Sulfate, B. Carbonate, C. Phosphate, or D. Perchlorate? All of the formulas given are correct except for choice B, carbonate. The formula for carbonate is CO3 with a -2 charge, not CO4 with a -2 charge. Names and formulas of polyatomic ions are trivial information. In other words, you just need to memorize them as part of the basic vocabulary of chemistry. Be sure to memorize not just the elements and subscripts, but also the charge. The charge is part of the formula. Whether or not your teacher requires you to memorize them, it's a good idea to memorize them. Here are some strategies that you can use for memorization. Refer to a list of names and formulas. Read the names and formulas aloud several times. Hearing and seeing should help you remember them better than just seeing them. Make up memory aids. Try to find patterns in the names and formulas. Work on drills such as reading or writing of formulas of compounds that require you to remember this information. Remember that if you don't use this information, you're likely to forget it. Here's an example of a memory aid to remember oxoanions with 4 oxygen atoms, with names ending in 8. 4 of these ions are phosphate, arsenate, selenate, and sulfate. Note that they all have 4 oxygen atoms. If you look at the symbol of the other element, they spell the word passes. The charges, on the other hand, are -3 for phosphate and arsenate, and -2 for selenate and sulfate. So a good way to remember these 4 ions is to use the phrase passes 4, 3, 2. Phosphate, arsenate, selenate, and sulfate all have 4 oxygen atoms, and their charges are -3 and -2. Let's see if you can relate this information to the periodic table. You can see from the periodic table that phosphorus and arsenic are in group 5A, while selenium and sulfur are in the next column, group 6A. You can also relate this information to the formulas and names of the corresponding monoatomic ions. Phosphide and arsenide both have a -3 charge, whereas sulfide and selenide both have a charge of -2.